we are going to discuss a critical essay, Tradition and the Individual Talent by T.S. Eliot, that is included in your MA Finals first paper, Principles of Literary Criticism. Earlier we have studied Towards a Feminist Politics by Ellen Showalter, Tradition and the Individual Talent by T.S. Eliot. Thomas Stearns Eliot was an American-British poet, essayist, playwright, and literary critic. He was born on 26 September 1888 at St. Louis in Missouri to a prominent Boston Brahmin family. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1948. He was chiefly famous for his poetic works that includes The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, Ash Wednesday, The Hollow Man, and The Wasteland, that is also included in your syllabus. Besides his great poetic works, he also contributed a lot to the field of literary criticism. He coined some famous phrases that brought revolution in the field of criticism, like objective, correlative, disassociation of sensibility, unification of sensibility, etc. The present essay, Tradition and the Individual Talent, was first published in The Egoist in 1919 and later in his first book of criticism, The Sacred Wood, in 1920. In this essay, Eliot throws light upon the significance of tradition, the function of tradition, and the relationship between the past and the present. In the beginning of the essay, Eliot says that the word tradition is seldom employed in English language. When it is used in a phrase of censor. He wants to state that this word is always used in negative sense or in a derogatory sense. Further, Eliot highlights the importance of criticism. He says that criticism is as inevitable as creative writing. He divided the whole essay into three parts. First, concept of tradition. Second, theory of impersonality. Third, summary or conclusion. In the first part, concept of tradition, he delineates the significance of tradition. According to Eliot, tradition does not mean a blind imitation of the ways of the previous generation. He states that this kind of blind imitation must be discouraged. According to Eliot, tradition can only be acquired, it cannot be inherited, it can only be acquired through hard labor, and it can only be acquired by those who have historical sense. In Eliot's view, the sense of tradition implies recognition of continuity of literature. According to Eliot, tradition is not something fixed or static. It is a dynamic process. It evolves continually. He says that when a new work of art is arrived, the whole tradition is modified or altered. He says that the relationship between the past and the present is not one-sided, it is reciprocal. In his view, the past directs the present, and the past itself is modified or altered by the present. Next, he highlights the function of tradition. Uh, a work of art of a poet, according to Eliot, is compared and contrasted with the works of previous authors. This comparison is not for good or bad. This comparison is for the analysis of that work of art, for the evaluation of that work of art. According to Eliot, the sense of tradition does not mean to know the past as a whole without any discrimination. Second part, Eliot's theory of impersonality. In this part, Eliot says that the artist must surrender himself to tradition. His emotions and feelings must be depersonalized. He explains this theory of impersonality through an example of a chemical reaction that takes place in the presence of platinum. Two gases combine in the presence of platinum and forms a new gas, but the platinum remains unaffected by this chemical reaction. Similarly, the poet's mind is like this catalytic agent platinum. Different types of feelings and emotions combine together to form poetry, but the poet's minds remain unaffected by this process. Next, last part, summary or conclusion. In the last part, Eliot says that poetry is not a turning loose of emotion, but an escape from emotion. It is not the expression of personality, but an escape from personality. Eliot does not deny emotions or personality to the poet. He says that emotions must be depersonalized. To conclude, we come to the point that our general tendency is to look for the individual aspect of a work of art or of a poetic of a work of art, but in Eliot's views, if we approaches a work of art without this prejudice in mind, we would find that the best, not only the best, but the most individual part of a work of art are those in which past writers assert their immortality. Thanks a lot.